Although Angular created all the files for you, it's important to understand how you can change things. So let's have a look how Angular works with templates. By default, the template creates a template URL tag as the configuration object in your decorator. But you can also simply include a simple template option, and inside that, type the template using text within the component itself. This means you can use ES6 syntax, template syntax, which includes backticks to create more complex HTML. Let's see how that works. Go to src, and inside that go to app, then open the app.component.ts file. And here you can see that it says template URL, and inside that we have a separate HTML template. Now let's go ahead and delete the template URL part and just let it to be template. And now in the codes, we can type whatever we want. So we will add a simple h1 tag. So I'm going to get rid of this one here. I'm going to type in a simple h1 tag, which says movie directory. And let's save that. Now, if you go ahead and check your browser, you can see that it says movie directory. But if I try to add multiple lines, it will give an error. For example, if I get back to the code and if I add a new paragraph, I will say welcome and then close that paragraph. You can see that it just declared a lot of problems here. It shows that we have a lot of issues. Now, if you go to the browser, you can see that we can also see the errors are also displayed on the browser too. So instead, what we are going to do is to fix this, we're going to use the ES6 backticks. So instead of using just a simple quotation, we're going to use the backtick, which is right above your tab key. Just add one backtick, and then we're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to get rid of this one and add a backtick over there. Let's save that. Now you can go back and check in your browser. You can see that we have the welcome message displayed on your browser too. This means we can use more lines to create more HTML stuff. So now the question is if you should use HTML template or use HTML in the component itself. Well, it's an option. You can do any one of those, whichever that suits you best. Okay, let's get back to our HTML, and we will need to use a separate HTML tag. So I'm going to call this as URL. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this one. I'm going to put back how it was before. Okay, let's add in complex HTML. For that, we will need a separate HTML template. So we already have this one. So let's get back to our app.component.html. And right after this row, you can create another row. I'm going to call this as div.row. And inside that, I'm going to say justify content center, and then inside that we'll say div dot call md8, and then we need some spacing. I'm going to say mt3. Actually, I'm going to add the spacing later, so I'm going to call this as md8, and inside that we're going to say div dot card, then I'm going to give the spacing, say mt3. Okay, and inside this we're going to say div dot card body, and here I'm going to add a h3 tag with the font size of 5. Okay, and we want it to be bolder, so I'm going to say fw bold, and I don't need any margins for this, so I'm going to say m0. Okay, so I'm going to call this as movie directory. Let's save that. Now, after the h3 tag, I'm going to add a div. Actually, I'm going to add a search bar. So I'm going to say div.mb2, and inside that, I'm going to add a label. Okay, and we don't need this for now. So I'm going to give a class. I'm going to call this as form label. Okay, so let me keep this empty for now. And inside this, like after this, I'm going to use the input type as text, and we don't need a name here, so I'm going to get rid of that one. And we don't need an ID, so I'm going to get rid of this one too. And here I'm going to use a class I'm going to call this as form control. Then we're going to say form control SM. Let's save that. Okay, so it's compiled. Let's get to the browser. Let's see how that looks. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to inspect that, and then I'm going to put that in the mobile view just to make sure that it looks like a mobile application. Okay, so this looks great. And we need some background color for this. So I'm going to get back to the code, and I'm going to go to index.html, and I'm going to set the class here as bg light. Let's save that. Okay, so let's see how that looks. Okay, I need to hit refresh once. Yeah, so we have the bg light and it looks pretty good.